Now that you have this gorgeous skull outline, let's go ahead and start filling in some of the details. We want to get those same smooth, professional looking lines on all the inside parts of our sketch that we have now for the outline. A good place to start would be with the cheekbones. So let's go ahead and zoom in to the lower cheekbone so that we get a good look at what's going on. We're going to, just like with the outline, use the pen tool to draw a straight line and then the anchor point tool to curve it. So to use the pen tool, you can either click on the pen or simply hit P on your keyboard. Let's start right here and drop an anchor point. Go down here and drop an anchor point at the bottom of that C curve. Drop another anchor point up here at the top of your C curve, an anchor point here at the top of their mouth, and then an anchor point here to meet up with the outline of the skull. You'll notice it doesn't look much like the sketch yet. So we need to use the anchor point tool to curve this. The anchor point tool is here with the pen tools. You can also hit Shift C and get the anchor point tool. Now if you pull outward, you can get a bit of the curve that you might like to see. Pulling on different curves, play around with it a little bit, will get you more of the curve that you want. Again, you can curve it in each direction to make sure it somewhat matches the sketch until you're satisfied. You can pull them here and there to refine the curve. This curve is going the opposite direction. I would like it to curve inwards. So for that, you can actually use the Direct Select tool. You can hit A on your keyboard, and then if you grab the path, you can actually grab on a single handle and switch the curve. Again, grab on a handle, rotate it around, go to Shift C to go back to your anchor point tool. Pull on the curve until it begins to look the way that you'd like it to. You can always click on a different anchor. You can always use Control Z to go back. Any of these are options for you as we make the curve look the way we want it to. Once you've played around with the curve and it looks the way you'd like it to, go ahead and click on the regular pen tool. Now notice, you'd like this whole stroke here to be a 7-point stroke, so that it's the same thickness as the outline on your skull. In order to do that, you can hit the Selection tool and click on this path. Up here in the Control panel, you'll see the stroke weight, which you can then change to 7. This makes it look like a much more cohesive portion of the outline. Now let's go ahead and scroll up to the upper cheekbone, and we'll repeat that same activity. Use the pen tool by hitting P. Drop an anchor to start your curve, another anchor, and another anchor, and then use the anchor point tool or hit Shift C to pull away from each of these and create the curve that you want. Sometimes that requires patient playing around with the curve to make it look the way you'd like it to by pulling in and out and moving each anchor point up and down. Here again, I'm going to play with the curve until it looks the way I'd like it to. Trying to make it as smooth and as matching to the original sketch as possible. Once you're satisfied with that, again, you can always hit Selection, and you've got your piece all together there. Let's zoom out and see the finished effect of the cheekbones here. That looks pretty good. I'll be able to copy these to the other side in a few moments. Why don't I pause here and let you use the pen tool, the anchor point tool, and the direct selection tool to get 2 curved lines in a 7-point stroke weight to match your cheekbones on the right side of your skull. Great, now that you've got your cheekbones in, let's try making some simple C curves to practice the same skill. Down here at the bottom is a great space for a C curve, so let's go ahead and press P to drop our pen tool. Start here on the path, create a second anchor point further along on the path, use the anchor point tool to pull out some handles, and curve this to look the way I'd like it to. I can curve a little from one, I can pull out and curve a little from the other. That looks pretty good to me. Up here, I can do it again. Choose the pen tool or click Control P, click on the path again, use the anchor point tool to pull out a couple handles and rotate it around until you get the curve that you want. First on one anchor point and then on the other until it creates the perfect smooth curve. I actually want to do a double here. So I'm going to go ahead and click the pen tool, and a little ways out on the skull outline, press 2 anchor points. Use the anchor point tool to pull out the curve a little bit further, and then smooth it out by pulling out this other curve here a little bit further than that. Looking pretty good right there. Again, you'll notice it keeps filling in my colors with white. What I need to do when I see that is to go ahead and click on Fill and remove the fill. Here I'm going to do it again. Use the selection pointer, click on the curve, click on the fill, remove the fill. Down here, use the selection tool, click on the curve, click on the fill, and remove the fill. You may not have had the same issue since you were working directly from the tutorial, but if you see it filling a place where you'd like a simple line, be sure to use the selection tool, choose the path, and get rid of the fill color by turning it from white or another color into the white with the red slash. Last in this video, let's create the petals that go around this double path on each cheek. First, let's go ahead and zoom in so we get a better look at just this portion of the skull's cheekbone. Then let's go ahead and use the pen tool. Again, I'm just going to hit P on my keyboard. Let's start here on the path around and just create a series of triangles, somewhat mimicking the petals around the face. I messed up there and I just hit Control Z, not the end of the world. This anchor to this anchor, to this anchor to this anchor. Again, I'm making triangles instead of round petals. I'm going to use the Activate Anchor Point tool to round these out. So I've got my triangles all the way around. Next, I'm going to use the Anchor Point tool, or hit Shift-C, and just pull directly out from the top. If I pull in the right direction, not that way, I'll get a nice round top to each of my petals. I'm going to keep going here. You'll notice I messed up, so I have 2 lines. I can curve them both by clicking on their anchors. Again, I'm going to curve this petal until it gets nice and round. Curving the petal nice and round. Curving the petal nice and round. Here where it's too low, I can move it back again. The Direct Selection tool, or hitting A on my keyboard, allows me to fix any petals that look a little bit funky, and to change any place where I'm not pleased with how the petal effect has come out. So I can take this, drag it down, move the top of this petal up to make it taller. The Direct Selection tool allows me to pick one at a time, one little tiny handle at a time, to get the effect that I want, moving things around. So I'm going to make sure this red path looks just as good, that all my petals look nice and round and very professional looking. This one a little taller. He wishes he was a baller. There we go. Now I've got some pretty good looking petals. Go ahead and try this on your cheek, and then you can move on to the next video.